What if you could get up to $1,000 in 48 hours? You could with TaxSlayer. E-file your taxes, get up to $1,000 in as little as 48 hours, no upfront fees. Visit TaxSlayer.com for details. Carissa Thompson is joining me, kind enough to join me today. We were talking Thursday. I took off. These next couple of weeks are kind of different in sports, where the NFL season ends. You talk about it for a couple days, and then beginning of March, you get March Madness, NFL free agency, NFL Combine into April. It was funny. I took Thursday off, and the world imploded. Jimmy G signed a huge contract. There was this big NBA trade, and a lot of people were saying with Jimmy Garoppolo, they're like, I can't believe what they paid. Listen, man, just in the NFC alone. Just in the NFC, I think there's 9 what I would call upper-tier quarterbacks. 9. So I mean, and Aaron Rodgers, and Breeze, and Carson Wentz, and Russell Wilson, and Matt Stafford, and Matt Ryan, and Jared Goff, and Cam Newton, and now Alex Smith. These are guys that can win games, that have carried teams. I didn't even count Dak, and I like him. I didn't count Jameis Winston. He's promising. I'm not counting Teddy Bridgewater. There's something there, or Case Keenum, or Kirk Cousins. So if you don't sign him,
if you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a team.
That's
period.
And the NFC, now the AFC, Brady's about to retire. Big Ben is older. There are big gaps between those two. But in the NFC now, Carissa, Arizona is the only NFC. There's never been like this in my life. Arizona enters the season as the only NFC team without a franchise quarterback. Jimmy G is not a luxury. He's an absolute necessity.
Yes.
Absolutely. And Chris Long earlier today was with him for a year in New England and talked about Jimmy G.
I called him the baby goat, the Italian baby goat, IBG. And I think people in San Francisco are going to enjoy watching him play football for a long time. When Tom couldn't join us the first 4 games of last season, Jimmy came in there and really picked up the slack.
It's funny. The Philadelphia Eagles, sports fans are funny. They never want you to change your opinion. Like if you had a stockbroker and he called you and he said, hey, listen, the people that are running this company are selling off their stock. I've got some new information. You would tell your stockbroker, well, sell the damn stock. If your daughter or son had emergency surgery, and the surgeon came in and said, we've been trying something for a year at this hospital, and it's working, you'd be like, use that new protocol, right? So your politicians, we love when they give us new tax breaks and they change legislation. But in sports, once you say something, you can never change your mind. Like Philadelphia, I picked to win the NFC East. And people said, you're an idiot. And then they won the NFC East. Next year, I think it's going to be harder for them. I'll throw this out there, and you're going to think I'm crazy, but you thought I was crazy when I picked the Eagles to win the NFC East, and I called them a dark horse Super Bowl team. You called me nuts. I didn't think they were going to beat New England, but it didn't shock me they were in the NFC Championship and got to the Super Bowl. I called them that before the year. I'll just say this right now. San Francisco, in my opinion, is in the NFC Championship next year. You think I'm nuts? Front 7, great. Coach, great. Quarterback, fantastic. Durable running back. They have to upgrade at corner and 1 wide receiver spot. I'll tell you right now, I called Philadelphia a year ago my dark horse Super Bowl team. And they had this young quarterback, Carson Wentz, and they had this new coach, Doug Peterson. And I said, remember the Cowboys had a great season. 2 years earlier, the Giants had been good. Washington, Kirk Cousins, profound offense. I said, no, take Philadelphia. Okay, I'm going to tell you the same thing. My Super Bowl dark horse in the NFC this year, it's not the Rams. It's the 49ers. Got a new coach just like Doug Peterson, got a young quarterback just like Carson Wentz, and have a great potential front 7.
You know what division they play in, don't you?
Yep, but
with the Rams.
I get that, and I'll say this. I think the Rams pull back. I think everything worked out very well for the Rams. The Seattle O-line went into the tank. San Francisco was still bad.
They have been in the tank for a while. Russell played despite that. But, yes, that's a different division.
I feel very confident saying this.
Okay. Can we please make sure we
John,
keep this?
Are we archiving this?
Yes.
We are recording this.
Can we have breaking news? Can I have some sort of intro to this? I want to look.
Breaking news.
My dark horse Super Bowl team is the San Francisco 49ers. Was that on tape? Could that be? That's on tape.
But if wait, are
It could
you
be a
Like the
picking
reel
them?
to reel, that we can splice it together.
It's
Are
on
you
beta.
picking them,
BBC
or are you
Pro.
saying dark horse? Because there's a difference.
Okay, and say favorite. I just said, this is why I called Philadelphia a year ago. I just said, everybody's like, new coach. You know, all these meatheads in Philadelphia think I hate their team. I had you number one in the herd
Or maybe
hierarchy.
you just called them meatheads.
Well, I had him number one in the herd hierarchy for 7 weeks, and then Carson Wentz got hurt, and I'm like, okay, you're not going to win the Super Bowl now. And they just did. But there you go. I feel
So wait, what, are you saying they're the dark horse Super Bowl team?
in the NFC, they're my dark horse Super Bowl team, 49ers. And you laughed at me when I said Philadelphia 1 year ago. There you go. Carissa with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herdline News.
All right, first up, Colin, we've been talking about it all day long. The big game for the Cavaliers, the new look Cavaliers last night over the Boston Celtics.
Yeah.
Of course, you got Hill, you got Clarkson, you got Hood, you got Nance Jr. So this is a new team, and this is what LeBron had to say about their performance last night.
It's a good start, man, it's almost like the new guys have been here. Started with George and, his on-the-ball pressure and, him just running the team. And then the 3 guys came off the bench. Jordan is, he's ready to score at any point in time, but his composure was great. Rodney plays with so much poise, and Larry was just controlling the perimeter, saying great pick and rolls, got him a lob, got him a dunk. So, it's a good start for the new guys, good start for all of us, with our revamped team so far.
Look happy.
Yeah, you saw that clip over and over again of him on the bench being all excited, right? It's like you had a great first date. You're like, this is the one.
This is the one.
Does she end up being the one, considering the fact after the All-Star break, Colin, they get 17 games in 32 days?
Yeah. Listen, we all know they're deeper and they're better with these players. I think when I look at Cleveland's roster, there are 7 players who I believe on any given night could score 20 points. LeBron, Kevin Love when he's back, Jeff Green, Korver, J.R. Smith, Rodney Hood, and Jordan Clarkson. I'm not sure the Warriors have 7 guys that could score 20. Now, I don't think they're as good as the Warriors, but I think they separated from Boston and they closed the gap on Golden State.
Okay, so you still like them winning the East?
I like them winning the East, and I'll say this. I love Brad Stevens, but there are limitations to... Rick Carlisle's a great coach for Dallas. They're awful. Phil Jackson's last Lakers series, he got swept. I love Stan Van Gundy. There's limitations. As great a coach as Brad Stevens is, they're like 21st or 25th in offensive efficiency. Outside of Kyrie Irving, not a lot of guys on that roster can give you 24 points if they get hot. I think Boston has major offensive limitations.
I love that everyone after last night's game, everyone was like, ooh, LeBron and Kyrie hugged. They must have, worked it out. I'm like, well, were they going to punch each other?
I know.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, next story, Willie McGinnis on Josh McDaniels, the NFL Network. Willie McGinnis spoke with Josh McDaniels. Of course, we know what happened there. Josh McDaniels withdrawing his verbal commitment as the Colts head coach. Yeah, staying with the Patriots. Then everyone assumed he was going to take over at some point for Belichick. McGinnis spoke with him, and this is what he had to say.
At some point, Belichick may, retire, but it's not going to be in the contract, and you're not going to tell him when he's going to retire. Too much respect, and because he's the greatest coach to ever do it, you have to. It's never going to happen.
So no handshake deal either.
No, there's no handshake. The thing with Josh is Josh wanted stability. He's happy. He loves being in that organization. He loves the ownership. It's stability there with the ownership. He loves the players that he coached. He loves being under Bill Belichick and learning. That's invaluable.
Okay, so if what he's saying is true, saying there's absolutely not a succession plan in place, do you believe him?
Yeah, the funny thing about this job, sometimes whenever I'm doing sports, I think, okay, what would I have done? I would have taken the Indianapolis job, because it's all great that Robert Kraft's a great owner and that Bill Belichick's your mentor. But when Bill leaves, I'm not going to have Brady, Belichick, and Kraft's going to be 80. Like in Indianapolis, Chris Ballard's a young GM, and Andrew Luck's got 10 more years. I would have taken the Colts job. Now, I'll defend him on he's got a wife, a bunch of kids. He wants
there's stability, right?
I get that.
Yeah.
But in the NFL, the reason Kyle Shanahan's going to succeed is because he has Jimmy Garoppolo. What basically Josh McDaniels decided was having Bob Kraft as an owner was more important than having Andrew Luck as a quarterback, and I disagree with that. My belief in this league is every single coach hits a ceiling at some point, if you don't have a quarterback that can win a Super Bowl.
Yes or no, Josh McDaniels will take over for Belichick at some
Yes,
point.
absolutely. And by the way, and not have any of the success.
Okay, last story, and finally, speaking of the Patriots, Tom versus Time, the 6th episode of his
documentary
Facebook, documentary series on Facebook is on hold or pause.
Yeah, what's that? Why?
Yeah, well, because the executive producer was very honest. He said, we thought we were going to win the Super Bowl. So now that we didn't win the Super Bowl, we're not really sure exactly what to do. Tom, however, is not too upset at this point, given his recent social media post. He is with his gorgeous wife Giselle and saying this Sunday's outcome is a lot better than last Sunday's.
Wow.
Hashtag losing streak stops at 1. So again, Patriots fans will have to wait for that final episode of Tom versus Time. Tommy's doing just fine.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. So
Chris, over the news.
Thank you.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Line News.
Casper saving you from aggressive mattress salespeople. Don't you hate those people? They're all over society. Aggressive mattress salespeople. Casper.com save you $125 on $1,250 or $200 savings on a purchase of over $2,000. Terms and conditions apply. Get all your details at Casper.com. It was a crazy Thursday and a flurry of moves by the Cavaliers and Kobe Altman. And the Lakers, it should be noted, cleared cap space. I'll say this about the Lakers. And, everybody's going to talk about LeBron in Cleveland, obviously, because they're the championship level team and nobody's going to pay a lot of attention to the Lakers. But I got to give Magic Johnson some credit here. When Magic Johnson took over this job, my takeaway was generally great players don't make great managers. They don't. I mean, do you know R.C. Buford? He runs the San Antonio Spurs. You didn't watch him play. That Jerry West is an outlier. Generally, the great coaches and the great GMs were kind of like secondary players or were not players at all. Did you watch Bill Belichick or Nick Saban play football? And I was not that I was cynical with Magic Johnson. But my question with Magic was, okay, this is great, and you're Magic Johnson, and you could certainly get LeBron to fly out to L.A. and he would talk to you. But will you put in the time? This has always been my kind of knock on Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan's a celebrity. And if you want to be a good general manager, and LeBron and Michael Jordan was a bad player personnel guy, he wouldn't put in the time. He wanted to golf. And once you cross that threshold and you go from like player to star/celebrity, it's hard to go back. It's hard. It's very easy to go from grinder to a sailboat. It's very hard to go from a sailboat to back to being a grinder. So Magic Johnson's a superstar. Every room he walks into, he's beloved. He's nothing but gifts, nothing but backslaps. He gets to go to the front of the line, best seat in the restaurant. Being a basketball personnel guy is going to Lithuania on an all-night flight to watch a 50-50 marginal point guard. It's going to D-League games. It's watching Santa Clara play on a Tuesday night when you'd rather go to your kid's basketball game. It's a grind. But I'll give Magic Johnson some credit. He's done a nice job. They nailed the draft. Lonzo Ball can play. Kyle Kuzma's the steal of the draft. Even that Josh Hart kid can play. Like, they nailed it. Now, Rob Pelinka, the Rob Lowe lookalike guy, he's a lot of the inside work. But Magic, we always knew Magic could recruit people. That was never the question with Magic. We knew if Magic was the president and the face of the franchise, he'd be able to get Paul George in a meeting, Chris Paul in a meeting, James Harden in a meeting, Russell Westbrook in a meeting, Klay Thompson. We knew that. But he's not getting in the way. He appears to be okaying or at least convincing the Buss family to get rid of Jordan Clarkson and Larry Nance. Julius Randle was bitter about a month ago. Julius Randle now is very happy. So this thing's kind of working. This thing is kind of working, and I'm going to give Magic Johnson credit. It's not. I said the same thing about John Lynch with the 49ers. Now, John was not nearly the big celebrity and the big icon, but John Lynch was a Hall of Fame level football player, and now you go to broadcasters, so you're more famous, and now suddenly you got to sit in your office all day and do paperwork. Lynch has done a really good job with the Niners. Magic, similarly, has done a very good job with the Lakers. I want to bring on Chris Broussard. We've got to sort through some things here. Fox Sports Radio, basketball junkie and analyst for us. Let me get to the Isaiah Thomas thing. Because Carissa and I got into this discussion earlier. So George Hill's a smart veteran. He goes to the Cavs and he's like, hey, man, I'm Robin, he's Batman. Isaiah Thomas went to the Cavaliers and was like, I scored 28 a game last year. Is it possible, and this is what Carissa and I were kind of suggesting earlier, that it was more mental for Isaiah, that he came into this team and wasn't willing to be a Robin? He thought and saw himself, Chris, is a little bit of like Batman 1A.
Oh, there's no question. And, coming off a 29-point season, 5th in the MVP voting, 2nd team All-NBA, you can understand it. Some of it was his game. At a certain point, your game is your game.
You always say that.
He's a ball-dominant player.
Yeah.
He's a slasher. So that's just the way he plays. It's tough to adjust. But, yeah, what he was last season, that was an aberration. He's got to forget about his old girlfriend. All right. It's like he was dating Halle Berry.
Right.
Okay. And you never were in Halle Berry's league.
Okay.
So now you got to recognize I'm not getting another Halle Berry.
Right.
Okay. He's not going to be a 29-point scorer anywhere, especially on a good playoff team again.
Boston, by the way, Boston was going through the rebuild. Kyrie wasn't there yet. Gordon Hayward. So Boston looked at him and thought, he's actually a nice, dynamic offensive player. They kind of built around him. Yep. But Cleveland didn't need to build around him.
Well, and they knew, Boston even knew, as great as Isaiah was last year, they knew, you're only going so far with this. We're conference finalists that could have been eliminated in the first round if Rajon Rondo hadn't gotten hurt. So they understood what they were. You have to give Brad Stevens credit for building around Isaiah, creating a system where he could flourish and the team could pretty much maximize what it was.
By the way, if Isaiah Thomas would have stayed in Boston this year, even they would have significantly reduced his role. He wouldn't have averaged 29 with Kyrie Irving and a healthy Gordon Hayward.
Yeah, if they had Kyrie becomes the best player.
Yeah.
There's no question about that. Isaiah needs to, again, forget about what he did last year. And look, he got mad at me 2 weeks ago when I said he's really more in the Jamal Crawford, Lou Williams class.
Did he text you?
Well, he responded to our Fox Instagram
where
he put the quote up. He was just like, oh, that's what you think, Chris? Okay, after like 8 games or something,
Right.
He didn't go at me, but he just showed his disapproval. But first of all, Jamal Crawford and Lou Williams are very good players, and they can contribute to good teams. People need to begin to look at Isaiah in that vein. It's not because they don't think they're as good as some of the stars. Jamal Crawford is as confident as anybody in the league.
Yeah.
But you don't hear him running his mouth about, LeBron's 1, I'm 1A. Why is Chris Paul starting in front of me? I'm just as good. Even if he thinks that, he doesn't say it. Isaiah could go somewhere and help a good team as a 6-man off the bench. 22 minutes a night, 18 points a night. That's what he can do. But as long as he thinks, I'm like a 27-point scorer, I should be 2nd, 3rd team All-NBA, I don't know who's going to take him. A bad team with young players might feel you might stunt these young guys' growth. A good team that's trying to win a championship might feel like you won't accept your role. So he's going to have to recalibrate. That's a word that's been in the press with the Lakers, right? Recently. Recalibrate.
Okay, stay there. You and I disagree strongly on something. And Chris Broussard and I will address that coming up next. Guys, if you're new and improved New Year's resolution routine, what if it's already a mess? What if you're already missing workouts at the gym? You're starting to eat poorly like last year. Well, this is where M-Drive can help you. If you've hit that post-holiday lull, M-Drive will increase your overall performance. It's all nutrition science, clinically tested ingredients to elevate your energy. Okay? First of all, you can get it at Vitamin Shop, GNC, M-Drive, Walgreens, Duane Reade. Prominently displayed. Or go online to buymdrive.com. buymdrive.com, code HERD. They have M-Drive Boost and Burn. They have M-Drive Prime for those just starting out. M-Drive Workforce is the energy sustainer, powers you through your busy day. Refine your prime with M-Drive from Walgreens, Duane Reade, to go online. Buymdrive.com, code HERD.
last one.